All right, guys, we got a very special episode. No sponsors this episode. So we're going to cut right into it. We got Nicky Vegas currently of Adrenaline. He's played on Excessive. He's played on Ground Zero. He's played on Avalanche. He even had one guest appearance with Vicious where they got second place. I think that was the highest they ever placed. But just wanted to kind of jump in.
I'll tell you that right now.
You didn't do a single thing?
Oh, not at all. Probably the worst event I've ever. I played like 1 point.
Damn, dude. But I mean, you're the good luck charm.
They were nice, great people. To me, it never happened. It was just I was in a bad state of mind. Not a good showing. Anyway, keep going.
So reversing like all the way back to like a million years before that, how did you get started in paintball?
I mean, I played a little bit as a kid. My dad like bought a paintball gun. I was always into guns as a kid, so I had BB guns. Like we used to shoot each other with BB guns and stuff. You know, typical. Like, of course, you hear that like, oh, that sounds like Vegas. But like we used to do all sorts of crazy stuff like that. My dad brought home a Splatmaster one time, and he had me running around in the back of the woods trying to shoot me. And the CO2 ran out, and he gave it to me, and I put a new one in. I blasted him. He tried to hide behind a tree like this big, and I blasted him. He had this giant, like, raspberry welt. Like, he was, like, probably like this big, like, his whole side. And that was, like, my first taste of paintball. Then, I mean, I had paintball guns, but never really did anything. I worked at a golf course, and a couple of the guys, I used to bring the carts at night, like, when I was, like, in my late teens. And we bought paintball guns and used to drive around and shoot each other. And then I really got into it. Then I started working at the store at Cousins, but I really got into it when I started dating this girl, and Brian Goldberg. You guys know Goldberg.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. This is gonna forelay to another question I had written down from a story I heard.
I played some tournaments before I worked at Cousins, and then like I stopped playing for a while, and then I met Brian. I was dating his sister, and he was like, oh, I want to, I play paintball. And I was like, oh, I used to do that. And he had like videos, and I started watching videos, and I'm like, I could do this stuff. I'm like, there's no way. And then like a year and a half later, I was pro. But like bringing Brian to play paintball was kind of like, that was my way of trying to get him to do better in school. And all of a sudden the kid was getting like straight A's because I bring him up to practice with me with like, I was playing with Markston and all those guys. We started playing on Undertow and stuff. And I used to bring him to practice with me. And next thing you know, the kid went from like, failing out of school to he was getting like straight A's. And he'd have like stuff on the refrigerator. And that was my way of motivating him to play paint, to do better in school. And then it kind of just took all life on his own.
So with that being said, we heard a story. I don't remember the exact story, but Pat Sinelli was telling us, he was like, yeah, you want to hear a crazy Vegas story? Like, I don't remember what happened, but it was some practice where like you were just like mad at everybody and you just like went like and just shot dudes from point blank like Goldberg and all their dudes because you were coaching their team because they weren't doing something. So I mean, I don't know the whole story about it, but I don't know, just kind of bringing it up. Like I don't know, I don't remember exactly, but
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think I'm misunderstood a lot. I don't remember ever doing something like that. I mean, it's possible. I mean, I've had like, me and Nicky Cuba used to do like Mexican standoffs all the time before people knew what it was. Like there was this one time we were playing, I just moved to California, and me and Nicky were playing with the Dynasty guys. It was like a mixed practice on an airball field at SC Village. And Nicky's on the other side of the field, and I move into a bunker, and Nicky's screaming, I shot you. And I like, Todd Martinez is right next to me. He's like, no, dude. He's like, I'm like, yeah, I know you. I'm like, dude, come on. And I'm just playing. And I end up shooting some people. And Nicky gets shot. And he like flips out. And he comes over to me. And he's like, fuck you, dude. And he shoots me. And I'm like, whoa. And we just literally like, I took like 1 foot off the field. And literally we turned our guns. And we were like maybe 6 feet apart. And we just start hosing each other down.
Blasting.
And we're like going, like we're literally, like, we're dumping pods, like we're like going at it. And then the whole field stopped. California, like, stopped. Like, nobody had seen this before. And if they had, like, it was never to this extent. And there was, the refs came over, like literally everybody stopped playing. And everybody, me and Nicky were just like, we're like, fuck you. And then we were like, oh, I love you, buddy. I love you. And everybody's like, what the hell is wrong with these guys? But that's like what we grew up with in like playing with GZ. Like we would fight all the time. And it didn't mean anything. Like, we didn't hate each other. It was just like in the heat of the moment. I took
Right.
that, like, if I'm playing a paintball and you're on the other side of the team, we could be best friends. But while we're playing, I'm not your friend. I used to be really bad with this, to the point where, like, I was like, I'm not your friend. Fuck you. I've cursed. I'm sorry. I don't mean
You can curse, man. You can do whatever you want. We'll put the explicit tag. You'll be all right.
sorry. So, like, I used to take it like, afterwards, I wouldn't hold any grudges because that's how we were in New York. But people would start to think like I was really this like giant jerk. And it was just like, yo, man, we're playing this game.
We're playing paintball. Is how it is.
Runs at each other. Like, I'm not your friend while this is going on. Afterwards, like, and the older guys, like me and Chris LaSoya, like, I love Chris, and he shot me one time, and I was chasing him off the field and stuff. Like, but afterwards, it's like, we're good. The game's over. 10 minutes later, I love you, buddy. Let's have a beer, like. But a lot of people didn't understand that with me. And I'm also super protective of like my friends, and like I'm super loyal to a fault. So like you could do something to me and I might brush it off, but if you do something to one of my friends or one of my teammates, I'm coming after you. You know what I mean? Like, because that's just how I am. It's got me into a lot of trouble.
So with that being said, you were on Undertow, and then you were on Ground Zero. Did Cuba get you on Excessive, or how did that end up coming to be a thing?
Okay, so it was at the end of the first NXL season, and I had like a rocky background, like getting on Ground Zero. Like the guys that got me on, like I wasn't really wanted, like in the beginning, like, you know what I mean? Like I don't know, like they were taking all the other kids, and like I was like the oldest guy in the team at like 21 or something like that. At 20, I think it was, at 21. And like I wasn't like the best of friends with all those guys. Like I was good friends with them, but like, they were taking their friends with them, and I was kind of getting left out. And then I owe Anthony Cuoco, actually, is the one that got me on Ground Zero. He had me try out, and like I was playing really good. I mean, this is when I used to play at the indoor like 3 or 4 times a week. We would go there like every night. Like I used to be a personal trainer at the time. I'd be like working out, and I'd leave the gym and I'd shoot right over there, and I would play paintball all night, So I ended up getting on the team at the last 10-man World Cup, sniper style, which everybody saw all that.
Yeah.
First and only event with Ground Zero. I played with Ground Zero Gold that event. So Anthony Cuoco is what got me on the team. And then me and Nicky were always boys. I mean, I can't even remember a time of not knowing Nicky. You know what I mean? Like probably before puberty. But the Excessive thing came. So the first year of NXL goes by. I moved out to California with Nicky. We're living with Maddie Marshall, and we're living in San Diego, and we were trying to figure out what to do. I had some offers from some other teams, and I didn't know what to do. And then Maddie invited us with Rich and Nicky and all this stuff. This kind of like fell together. All of a sudden I went and I practiced with them, and they were like, why don't you come play with us too? And it just like kind of fell together. We were all living together, and it just kind of worked out that way.
Right.
That's kind of how it happened. It was like a grassroots thing. They were building something, and I guess they saw some potential in me and the way I played, where they thought, I could add to the team. And that's kind of it. It's kind of how it happened.
Yeah, for sure. And the rest is history. I mean, there's a movie about it.
It was a crazy year. 2 years, whatever it was. I need to
2 years, man. And then so coming into that movie, I mean, you have a very dramatic, heart-wrenching kind of scene at the end where, you're talking about, how living there, and if you have just enough to get by, it's great, but you got to have the money to get by. And I think it was something where you couldn't, the obligations that you had outside of paintball and paintball just weren't lining up, and you ended up having to take, I think you left the team, or you got demoted to the semi-pro team. I forget what happened exactly.
There was a lot of things going on, but basically how it went down. Like, I was working. I was one of our friends that used to be like one of the managers or coaches of Dynasty, John Almera. I used to do construction with him, like during the day. Basically, like I used to screw around a lot. And like, I was a laborer, you know what I mean? But I would do stuff for him, and he would help me out. And I would do that during the week when I was home. And then I would do security at the bars in San Diego at night when I was home, whenever I could. And then, we would practice. Sometimes we'd be away like 3 weekends in a row. And then I'd be home for 1 week and a weekend. And it was like, all right, well, I got to try to work and make some money, to pay. At one time, I lived on Maddie's floor for 6 months. I slept on a pool float. Like I bought an armoire type thing from IKEA, stuck it, and it was in between the kitchen and the living room. There was like a little alleyway, or like a little it wasn't a room, but it was a space. And I used to have a pool float strapped to the wall, and at night I would drop it down and fall asleep. And I had a little closet that I made. So I was trying to trying to get my shit together, and I needed to make money to pay rent and stuff, and then I got my own place, which was literally the garage to the building we lived in. They made a studio apartment. I ended up moving into that, and I had bills to pay and stuff. And I don't like freeloading on people. I don't like taking money from people. If I owe you money, I don't think you'll ever find somebody that says Nicky Vegas owes me money. You know what I mean?
That's rare and painful too, man.
I would rather give you all my money, and I have a story about that I can talk to you about later with me and Oliver Lang and stuff. Where if I owe somebody money, they're gonna get it before I buy myself something to eat.
No, for sure.
So I was very conscious of taking care of that. And with this leads into things I should tell kids that are gonna watch this and stuff. Paintball's great. People will make money doing it, but not everybody will. You've got to set yourself up. I'm very blessed. The career I have, the life I have, it happened by accident. Yes, there was hard work involved in it, but somebody's looking out for me to be able to do what I do. I would have never. I probably thought I would have been dead by now. You know what I mean? Most people would have probably thought I was. I was such a lunatic back in the day. But you gotta set up. You gotta delegate time for both. Paintball can take a lot of time, especially if you want to be good. You want to be the best. You're going to dedicate a lot of time to it, but you got to make sure you're making the right decisions. Go to college, go to school, or not even college. I mean, shit, you're better off being an electrician or a plumber nowadays than anything else. Those guys are killing it, But do something, have something set up, because then you're stuck. Literally, the reason I moved home, I was walking down the beach. So me, Maddie, Nikki, and it was our roommate Hefe. We were in San Diego. There'll be a concrete boardwalk, and there'll be patches of grass, and then there's sand.
Yeah, okay.
And through this whole time with Excessive, by the way, I had broken up with Goldberg's sister, and that was she did a whole mind trip on me that screwed me up for years. So I was a very emotional person at the time. But we're walking down after we got breakfast at our favorite breakfast spot, and we're walking down the street, the boardwalk, and I see 4 bums on this piece of grass. 2 of them are passed out. One of them is smoking a joint. The other one's drinking out of a brown bag. And I'm looking at them. And I saw looking at me, Nikki, and Maddie, and I'm like, look back. And I was like, I gotta get my shit together. I gotta get out of here. Within a couple of months after that, I decided to move back home and start going back to school and everything else. It was a defining moment, because in San Diego, people get trapped there, because if you have enough money to buy a case of beer, buy a bag, or whatever the hell it is you're into, and pay your rent, you're living the life.
Right.
It's very easy to get comfortable. And I did not want to get comfortable, because I always knew I wanted to have a family, and I wanted my kids to have more than I had. So I didn't want to be selfish. And I said, all right, it's been a good run. Let me start to try to move towards, setting myself up.
Right.
So. Sorry, I went off a tangent, but
no, man, no, it's good advice especially for kids that and that are going to be listening, or people that have come into situations like this, like you had. So after you moved back, who did you end up playing for, or was that when you took a break? I know you took a break for a little bit.
So we kind of went off target. I didn't talk about how the Excessive thing went down. So how I ended up leaving the team, Nicky wasn't having the greatest year the first year. He wasn't playing a lot, and he was getting kind of jerked around a little bit. The kid that was running the team, he wasn't paying anybody. And again, I
remember this.
I'm the kind of guy that I didn't know how to play politics back in the day. So if I saw something that was wrong, even if I wasn't smart enough to say, what, if I do this right now, it might end up screwing me, and it came to a head at one point. Right before we went to France, I think it was, I had missed some practices, and they were like, well, if you play good in France, you'll come to the next event, which was Denver.
Dude, this is word for word from the movie. This is like word from word from the movie.
I'm like, all right, okay, so here's another thing. I am the epitome of that saying where it says hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Mm-hmm. After the first couple of years getting on ground zero and that first year in the NXL, like I was good enough where I didn't have to practice. And I would go on the paintball field and I would not be the worst guy in the field. I would be one of the better guys. And I was practicing at a minimum, you know, and I had this, like I could practice a little bit. Like I'll tell you right now, whoa, what just happened? My computer just popped something up. Hold on. I can tell you right now, the screen just popped up with another thing. I can tell you right now, like if I played paintball right now, if you gave me a full month, doubles every week, I could probably, I guarantee you I would not be the worst player on some NXL teams. Like I pretty much tell you, I would be playing a significant amount on certain teams. I believe that much in myself. I don't practice now. You know what I mean? I don't get a chance to. I pick up my gun. My first 2 practices are the first 2 points at an event. And then I'm like, all right, this is how the gun shoots. All right, let me do this. You know what I mean? Like, oh, that's how you run. Because I'm like, I'm like a bull in a china shop. I'm not graceful. You know, I run over shit.
Right.
But if that's what the team needs, I'll run through it if I have to. I don't care. I'm Scorpion King. Whatever.
You know, dude, I was trying to get that as my background, but I don't have a green screen. I was trying to get the one of you doing the Scorpion dive. Yeah.
I was like, listen, I needed something done. Somebody needed to go, and this is what I had to do. Like, when it happened again in Georgia or whatever, they were like, well, why would you do that? I'm like, you think I ran over there and said, this is what I'm going to do? No. As I ran to stick the guy, he was like 3 feet back, and I couldn't, so I had to jump over him, and he wasn't like next to the snake. So I fell on my face. But guess what? I shot his friend on the way in. I shot him, and I would have been alive if Topher didn't shoot me in the ass. So I don't care, you know? But yeah, I kind of went off again. So, so the excessive thing. So France, I go to France, and I had a good event. I mean, I was playing good. I'm not trying to say if I'm not playing good. Like when I played for Vicious, I did not play good. Like honestly,
no, you told us.
I used to literally before practice, I used to try to find ways to call up and try to get out of it because I didn't want to be there. But Todd Martinez got me on the team, and like I couldn't screw Todd over. But like I was in no shape mentally to be playing paintball at that time. And it just wasn't a good fit for me. You know, I wasn't playing with my friends, so they didn't know what was going on in my personal life. So I was like a train wreck. You know, I played 1 point that whole event. And then afterwards they were like, oh, well, you know, they don't want to pay for your flights. I was like, I'm good, man. We're good. Let me, you know, this is a good way to get out of it. You know, that's cool. And I walked away from paintball for a couple of years. Back to the excessive thing. So played pretty good in France. We take second. I'm playing really good. I did make one mistake, though, and I called somebody out in the finals against Dynasty. Somebody, I'm not going to name names, was supposed to be watching a lane over me. I make it to the center 50, their side. It was a big brick. I'm on their side of it, and I'm posted on this one side. And somebody had one job. And it was just to watch me to make sure nobody ran me down. And Alex Brady comes hauling ass through, sticks me in the back and slides into the other side, and I'm walking off. And I was kind of like, what the F to a certain person. I'm not going to name names. I don't feel like doing that or whatever. But and that person had a tendency to put the screws to people. Like if he had it out for you, he would twist ways. So we get back from the event, and they're like, oh, you know, we're not going to take you. And I was just like, okay. Now Nicky was not playing, and he was like, yo, I think let's go play for Infamous. So let's leave together. Let's go. And at that point I was like, well, if they're not, I'm like, all right, I'm not going. So I quit before Nicky quits. Then Nicky says, I think I'm going to stay.
That's what I thought happened.
And then they bring Tyler Mashad, who never practiced with the team. Now remember, their whole thing was, Nicky, you didn't practice enough. You weren't practicing. Everybody's been practicing. You're not practicing. Play good in France. We bring you to the event. Nicky plays good in France. They say no, but then they bring somebody that never stepped foot on the field with anybody before. So it was like hypocritical to me. I'm like, how would you say I can't come to the event because I didn't practice, but you're bringing somebody who's never played with us before? So I just said, forget it, I'm out. You know, and I ended up leaving, gave up my contract and my rights to the team and all that stuff. Went on to play with a bunch of different teams in the interim, and then kind of got brought back into the fold when the second team was formed. Micah McLaughlin, a good buddy of mine, love Micah, miss him. He brought me back on, and then I played like an expo event with them, and I played really good. And then Micah was like, kind of talked to them about bringing me back on the team, and then I stayed with the team until the end. Then we got a pro spot in the 7-man and everything else. That was that.
So what the next move? So you were on Excessive, and then when you were done with Excessive, like when you finally left them for good, you were gone for a little bit, and then you popped up with the Jesters, because I remember that. Or I mean, did you play in that downtime? I think you played like with Orion. I remember now.
Like they asked me to go play. Like I hadn't played in a while. They asked me to go play. I played like some event with them, and I was terrible. Like I wasn't playing paintball. I did play with Excessive. I can't remember. It was a couple years afterwards. It was after like JR and everybody left the team. I played a Tampa event with them. I flew down. Rich brought me out, and then I was supposed to play the next event, but I had a wedding, and then it was like it just kind of fell apart again. Like, and the team kind of, I don't know. I don't even know what happened to them after that. And I kind of just stepped away from paintball for a while. But I mean, I played with Avalanche in between. Like I played with a bunch of different teams. It was funny because I played with Avalanche when I left Excessive, and then Avalanche, like most of those guys ended up coming and being on Excessive the next year, because like I went to Avalanche, then kind of just didn't work out. It wasn't a good fit. I think I don't know who the hell I played with then. Oh, I left Avalanche. I went back to Excessive. And then like 6 months later, all those guys, Dave Baines, everybody left, and they were all playing on Excessive. It was weird. It was just a weird transition. It was a weird time in paintball.
So what made you come back, when that's all said and done? Like, I know there's a hiatus, but I mean, you ended up playing with the Jesters and that Champs Challengers thingamajig, or was that Goldberg that did that? Because I know Goldberg was a part of it.
Yeah, Goldberg dragged me back in, and I went back in pretty hard again, and I was playing a lot. Like I was playing every weekend with them. We were driving to Jersey, whatever, and I was playing a lot. And that's kind of how that happened, At one point, I almost left them, and I almost played for Infamous. Nicky had me fly out to a practice in Florida, and then that was just another whole political thing that just didn't work out. And then the Champs and Challengers thing. So the year they made that, so we find out we're going to be in it, and Mikey Bruno from Aftershock. So one of the teams I always wanted to play for, and I never did, was Aftershock. Like that's one of my for me, that was like one of my like big teams. I wish I would have done it. Right. Me being loyal, Mikey Bruno gives me equipment at an event and says, "Yo, I want you to play with us, in the new thing, whatever." And they had a pro spot. It was Champs Challenge, but they had their spot. We didn't know if we had it. And I took the stuff, and then like I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? I'm having fun with these guys, the Jesters. They're my boys. I got Goldberg. My friend Sully was playing on the team. I liked all the guys. I'm like, you know what? Next time I saw Mikey, I was like, hey man, I'm like, I thank you so much. I wish but I'm going to stay with the guys. It's just more convenient. I'm home with them. We're in the same division. Blah 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 blah. Probably a very big mistake on my part. I should have went and played with Aftershock, and that's that's like one thing I kick myself in the ass for, because just to say I played for Aftershock meant a lot to me,
Right.
But yeah, those guys were great. They were fun guys. They were, a bunch of degenerates in the best kind of way. I had a good time with those guys. The Hussein brothers. I'm still close with all those guys.
Yeah, because I forgot. Yeah, because that's when the Hussein brothers were there, and then I believe they left like middle of World Cup or whatever.
Yeah, there was a little incident at the house. They got a little upset. And they left. Had nothing to do with me.
I also feel like you were like the first person to have like Vios. Also, I remember like a picture of you having Vios, and everybody else on the team had like flexes and.
Yep.
I don't know. I felt like the Jesters always had like their gear was never washed, and like they're all dirty.
I wash my stuff after every game. I don't do that. You guys are dirty.
Yeah.
I do my stuff after every game. I go home. Me and Unger now in Adrenaline, we make sure we get detergent. Unger's like my little brother. I love that kid. And we make sure we do our laundry together every night. Like we make sure that stuff's on point.
You got to. I had to do laundry before we hopped in on this.
But the Vios, yeah, I was actually testing them out for Newman. Like Mike Newman's always been a huge supporter of me. Like he's helped me out a lot. Him and Contract Hill. I mean, shout out to Adrenaline because James Greeley does everything for me, and I love the guy. He helps me out so much. But like Mike Newman, always, even to this day, like if I called him up and I was like, "Hey, I need something," he would do it for me. He's never said no. I don't take advantage of it.
Right.
But he's always been a very good dude to me. I think I was like his first pro player.
That's pretty cool.
With those cheater boards.
Yeah. That's a good one.
The best boards, man. What can I tell you, dude? I mean, no matter what gun you had, it upgrades your engine. That was the whole spiel of it, right?
It was, yeah. Before Mike came along, that was like he kind of took it all out. You know what I mean? In the open. Before that, it was some straight up trickery. You don't even like.
Straight up wizardry.
Oh, you hold the trigger for a certain amount of time, and the thing would just start shooting people on its own. It was crazy.
Dude, I thought if you hold the power button, it's full. If you hold the power button in on the Carnivore, like it's full auto. I don't know. I shout out to somebody's guns. Tim Doyle's Carnivore.
I had some stuff where, if you hit the power button afterwards, it would go back to normal, and there's no way. But like if you held the trigger, it would start, for a certain amount of time. Then all of a sudden you'd be in like breakout mode, and then it would just be like ramping, like our NYX matrices. I'll tell you that story. We were in London, and we were playing. I think we were playing Joy Division, and I'm on the field, and this is when we had those shoebox matrices. This is not a DM4. Yeah. This is the old school, like
Jenny.
I love those guns, by the way. And I'm on the field, and I'm running, and I start shooting my gun, and I just start running. And Johnny Perchex from Dynasty is on the sideline, and my gun is like, whoa! Like it literally, I had a bunker, and I ran like all the way down the field, and I'm just like going like this, and nobody's coming out. And we win the game, and as I'm starting to run up, all of a sudden I see the refs coming. I'm like, oh, I run up the field, and Johnny Perchex is just standing. He goes, I have never heard a gun shoot that fast in my entire life. They're out. And I just ran off the field, Then Bobby's guns, they were machine guns too, but we had some serious guns. Those Eggy boys were amazing. Yeah.
Oh, that's too funny, dude.
Johnny's face, his eyes were like, holy shit. And I was just like, I gotta go.
I gotta get out of here, man. I can't let anybody catch you with this thing.
Yeah, it was good times. There's a lot of there's some people that had some crazy stuff. Yeah.
So with that being said, did you ever get to play the Millenniums and anything like that with Ground Zero? I know you said you played the last
with NYX we played.
With NYX you did.
Yeah, we played a couple. I think we did the London Millennium. And then like with Excessive, we went all over. I got to go all over Europe. I went to the Joy Masters one year when I was on NYX with Alex Lundquist, but we didn't play. We just hung out, and that was like a crazy time. I spent 2 weeks in Sweden with Alex and Oliver and Mr. U and
was Arroyo there? Because I think he said something.
Will was there for a little bit. He was there. No, he was there for most of it. Yeah.
I heard that you guys chased people into a McDonald's. I heard there was like.
Yeah, so okay. Again,
let's get your version.
Let's get your version.
Now, I will tell you right now. Everybody thinks like, oh, I'm a tough guy. I'm actually really not. I have a switch though that goes off. And if you hurt my friend, or if you're doing something, or if you're disrespectful, like I don't care if you're 8 feet tall and you're gonna kick my ass. If you're disrespectful, we're gonna find out. You know what I mean? Because like you're gonna respect me. Even if you kick my ass, maybe you'll respect me a little more for saying, all right, well, I didn't think the guy had it in him,
Right.
So, and again, I was going through some hard times on this before this trip, which is partly why Alex brought me with him. He's like, we need to get away. He's like, come to Sweden with me. We'll have a great time. We get there. Oliver, Mr. U, everybody's like, Nicky, nobody fights in Sweden. Don't fight. I'm like, all right, man, I'm not going to fight. I'm not trying to fight, man. I'm just here to hang out and have fun. Like, it's the story. I'm not trying to have any trouble. And next thing you know, I'm like in the middle of a shitstorm. So the first night we're there, we go to this place that was called like Cafe Opera, which is like this giant, like grand staircase, like bar in the middle of like Stockholm in this park. And, they're like, Nicky, everybody's going to bump into you here. They're rude. Don't take offense to it. It's not New York. Like, that's just how they are. So don't get into a fight. So I'm like, all right, guys, I ain't going to fight. I'm not trying to get any business, Long story short, apparently I was on the other side of the bar. Like, it was like a long, narrow kind of bar. So I was on one side. Apparently Mr. U had some words with these guys. And apparently they were like connected. They were like Turkish mobsters or something like that. One guy happened to be like some sort of boxer or whatever it was. So they had some words. Nothing crazy. Mr. U goes outside. This is from what I know. And then like Maddie, I think, came and got me. He's like, "Oh, Nicky, we got to go, Mr. U." And next thing you know, I hear, and Oliver Lang is standing on like the railing of the bar, hucking Bud Lights down the bar. It was like artillery. I was like, oh, yeah, he hit the lamp, and the lamp broke on top of him, and there's glass everywhere, and he's throwing Bud Lights down, and we run outside, and Mr. U's on the floor. And now I'm like, whoa, fuck.
What's going on here?
I'm not even thinking at this point. I just pick him up. Maddie helps me. I throw him over my shoulder. I carry him over to these bushes, and I like throw him in the bushes, and immediately I'm like, all right, now I'm going to go kill somebody.
Yeah,
so I see these guys running across the park. So I take off after them. I steal some dude's bike from him. And I'm running through the park with a mountain bike over my head. And I get to the other side of the park. And now I'm there by myself because I'm dumb. I ran into these guys not knowing what I was getting myself into. They're all in like suits and they're all there. And there's this one little muscle guy. And I'm like, oh, all right, whatever. So there's like 4 of them. They come at me. I throw the bike at them. So that takes out 2 of them, and then the little boxer guy comes over to me, and I just picked him up and dropped him on his head, and I started hitting him, and then I got kicked square in the face, like flash knockout. I just remember standing up, and I was like, "Who did that?" And next thing you know, Will Royal's on my back, and we're just like swinging, like and Davey comes over, and then the guys like took off, and then like it was crazy. It was nuts. It was insanity. It shouldn't have, nobody fights in Sweden except for when I'm there, and I didn't even start it.
Yeah.
I got a black eye. That was the first black eye I've ever had. Square in the face. It was crazy.
So I can say from Will's version, he was saying apparently Mr. U started it, so it was not you.
Yeah, well, apparently he was all belligerent, I guess. I don't know, but like I just saw my friend on the floor, and I'm like, oh no,
protect my friend.
Like, somebody we're gonna fight. Like we gotta find these guys now. Probably not the smartest thing in the world, but it makes for a good story.
Yeah, we got to get Pete on here to continue the saga. Maybe he can shed some light on
all
how
the
the whole thing
views
started.
I would just like to know what actually happened to get him to be mad at those guys to start something.
Because nobody knows, man.
Yeah.
I heard Maddie talk about it. I've heard Will talk about it. I heard you talk about it. We got to get Pete to get the final verdict. With that being said about fighting, I remember, I think I was in Serial Killers. Like, you could have did it. Did you used to do MMA? Could you have done MMA? But I also know snowboarding was somewhere in there and paintball somewhere. All 3.
Now we're going back. So when I was, I was like heavily. By the time I was 16, I was pretty heavily sponsored in snowboarding. I used to go up to Vermont all the time. I graduated high school early to move up to Vermont and like compete and do stuff. I ended up getting hurt, like my first year of college when I was up there. I ended up fracturing my pelvis and my collarbone at a big air exhibition in Mount Snow. And my girlfriend was living. Every mistake I've ever made when I was younger was over a girl. And my girlfriend at the time was back home in Long Island. So after I got hurt, I was like, I should probably go back home, go to school, and I could come up in the wintertime, take winter semester off and snowboard. Well, that never happened because then the following year I broke my leg doing freestyle motocross with my buddy Eric. And then I just kind of, the snowboard thing kind of fizzled out. And then paintball kind of worked its way in somehow, just found its way. But yeah, there was a time I was pretty heavily sponsored snowboard. I got to go to Oregon to one of those summer camps and stuff, and I got to do some cool stuff. I met some people. I met Sean White when he was like, a little midget, like, like
yeah,
damn, dude,
so cool.
Yeah, like he was still like doing crazy shit back then. Like there was a lot of good people out there. Yeah.
That's dope. I mean, do you still? I mean, you still snowboard on and off, right? Still now. I mean,
my wife loves to snowboard, so I'll take her. You know what I mean? We'll go up. Like last year, we did a trip. It's like a love-hate thing with me because I have multiple problems, but one of the problems I have is like I don't ever want to just do something to do it. You know,
Right.
I don't want to just play something to play. Like if I'm going to play, I want to be good at it. You know, now I'm down the golf rabbit hole now. You know,
Oh boy.
but snowboarding, I was good at one point. Like, you know, I mean, would I ever have been would I've ever made an impact on the sport of snowboarding like I did in paintball? No, but I was good. You know what I mean? Like I could have been in videos. You know what I mean? Like I was an East Coast pro. Like there was like kids that we were all, you know. But when I see kids doing like spinny, flippy things now, and I can't do it because I'm afraid of hurting myself and stuff, like do it. You know, like if I can't do it how I remember doing it, I don't want to be there.
Right.
You know, and that carries over into a lot of things, you know, in life with me. You know, and even with paintball, sometimes I get, you know, I was going to be playing at the top level. I kind of wanted to step back, and then I got dragged back in, and it is what it is.
James pulled you back.
James, boy, actually, Nicky pulled me.
I was gonna say.
Nicky got me back on adrenaline. Like I was gonna play with GZ, but Doyle and them were dragging their feet, like the black guys, like GZ Black. Like that's who I was playing with. I played with them in that Georgia event, and I had so
You
much.
guys got robbed.
Oh my God! Don't get me started.
You guys got robbed. What kind of hillbilly rules are that?
That was crazy. That was crazy. But I love playing with those guys. Like I love playing with Mooner and Rosie. You put me on the field with Mooner behind me, and I feel like I could run through anything. You know what I mean? Because if Mooner says, I got you, I'm shooting for you, he's going to shoot for you, you know? And I love playing with that guy. Like, I love it. But I didn't know if they were going to play. Like, they were very unorganized, those guys. Like, you know, Doyle was like, I don't know. And I was like, look, I need to know because I need to tell my wife to be able to take weekends off and do stuff. And I need a schedule. And he couldn't give me one. And I played an event with Spesh and ULA's in Charleston. And I'm tight with Spesh. He's my boy. I love him. All the OLA guys, like I'm pretty good friends with. So I was going to play with Spesh. So out of left field, Nicky Cuba calls me up. And he's like, "Yo, bro, why don't you come play with me and James and the Adrenaline guys?" And then they made me like they made me a very good offer, a very generous offer to play. Which I said, I was like, "You guys realize I'm like 40, not like 20." No, we want you. I was like, "You sure?" And I was like, "Yeah, we want you." So. I ended up going with them, and the rest is history. I'm very happy with them. They're great. They're like a second GZ to me. Those guys, in terms of they're very loyal. And in paintball, that's hard to find. You know, I think loyalty in paintball is, a case of paintball could divide. Right. You know what I mean? So they're good guys, you know. But if I wasn't playing for them, I'd be on GZ all the way. Like those are the other guys. Like if something with Adrenaline ever fell through and I was still gonna play, and GZ would have me, you know what I mean? Like that, those would be the guys I'd want to finish the career out with if I didn't stay with Adrenaline. You know, no chance of leaving Adrenaline unless they kick me off. I love them. Like they're a family, like my GZ fan.
Yeah, and hey, I've been reaping the benefits of that because the last 2 tournaments in a row, Moon has been my back player, and it's been fucking awesome.
He's the man. He's the man. I used to play NXL with him. Like, I think part of the reason why I became good was because I didn't worry about it, and I didn't have that all the time when I played on Excessive because they had different mindsets. Like, that was the other thing. Like, Rosie knew how to coach me. Rosie knew I could be angry, but Rosie knew I had good intentions. So if I was a dick, he knew, like, he's just in the moment, you know what I mean? Like, but he's a good dude, like, you know what I mean? So Rosie was the best coach in the world for me. Like, I love that guy. He knows exactly how to handle me and how to let me go. Whereas Rich and them, they were different, and it's not bad. It may sound bad, but it's not bad. It's just different. They run a team where, like, I'm one of those loyal people, so I'm an emotional wreck. So I take things to heart, you know, where. You know, in New York, like we were emotional, but like they were never like, well, if you play bad today, you're cut. You know, it was never like that because they were like, oh, we believe in you. If you have a bad day today, it doesn't mean tomorrow you can't come out and kill it. You know, whereas Rich and them and Rich, that's how he won world champions. You know, world championships by he would get people in and out that filled the need for them. You know, so I never felt like I had like. fully sometimes that they had my back. Like I thought there was always a chance of being cut, especially being a front guy, because those are the first guys to go, because there's always somebody faster, there's always somebody smaller. You know what I mean? Like if you're a back guy, you have more of security. You know what I mean? Front guys to be playing front at my age is ridiculous. You know.
Still doing it though, man. Scorpion dives and all.
Breaking a leg or doing something every event, but I'll get there. So, I don't know what we were talking about. I lost it.
So, I mean, with that being said, man, kind of bringing it kind of to where we're at now. I'm sure there's so many stories, but actually the thing that pops into my mind, because we were talking about that snowboarding, there was that serial killers video where they're all wrestling like some crazy jujitsu guy, and they're all getting effed up. And then like you went in there and like you were actually like giving the guy a good match, and then like he had to like turn it on to beat you versus the other dudes he was just toying with, throwing him around and whatever. So was that also something that you were into?
So yeah, I did jujitsu for a lot of my friends. Like people say, "Oh, Nicky's tough." I'm not tough. You want to know tough guy? My friends, the guys I hung out with, remember I bounced for years out east and stuff. And some of the guys I worked with are legitimate like badasses. You know what I mean? Like a lot of my friends they fought in like lower promotions. Some of my friends fought in the UFC. They're pretty big. They're well known. So I used to do jiu-jitsu with a lot of these guys. I trained jiu-jitsu on and off for probably almost 15 years. I'm a purple belt. I don't train much at all anymore. But like, I can handle myself, and I know stuff, you know what I mean? To somebody who doesn't know anything, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's not an issue. But, you get guys that train with them. My friends all train. Like, they're all tough dudes. Like, I'm just wild. So, yeah, jiu-jitsu is great. I love it. I definitely saved my ass many, many times. I can tell you stories from clubs where I didn't have jiu-jitsu. I probably would have gotten my ass kicked. I'd be dead. But it's good for the soul. It's good for you. Everybody should do it. Actually, no. Everybody shouldn't do it. So this way I can still kick everybody else's ass.
There you go. Or if you do it, just don't come at me with it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Just keep it to yourself.
I want no trouble.
I want no trouble. So with that being said, you came back to the mechanical scene. I know you played one of my events, one of the Woods Ball tournament series with Doyle's. I know you played a couple X ball events with Doyle as well. Was he the one that kind of, after your other hiatus, was he the one that got you back in, or was it someone?
Him and
Anthony?
Anthony was playing with Doyle and asked me to go play like a Foxball event with them, and I played, and I still could kind of play. I was like, all right, I was like, I still got it, And then like they asked me to play that 10-man. I said yes to the 10-man like 6 months before it was, and like when it was about to go, I was like, oh, I don't want to go. My wife, she might have been pregnant at the time, probably. I'm like, oh man, whatever. I'm like, I gotta go. I gave my word. I gotta go. Like they count on me. If I say I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it.
Right.
Good, bad, or different to the rest of my life, I'll do it. I'll deal with the repercussions of everything else later. So I went and had the best time of my life. It was so much fun, and like literally probably one of the most fun times I've ever had paintball in my life. And that was it. And I was just like, all right, I want to play. And then they didn't know what they were doing. And then
like you said, they were dragging their feet. You know what I mean? They didn't know.
Oh, these guys, I can't get an answer. I don't know. And I'm like, well, I need to know. I'm like, because I was gonna play with the All Americans. Like I was like, all right, I fit in with those guys. I like those guys. I always wanted to play those. That's another team. Like I almost played for them back in the NXL days, but Jerry blocked me. That was when I left Excessive. That was one of the teams I was supposed to play for. Like because I was.
Oh wow.
So backtracking, when I was on Excessive, I was individually sponsored by Smart Parts. The only other player to do that prior to me was Daryl Trent. Daryl Trent is the one who got me sponsored. So I was shooting shockers
for the first year.
For Excessive, yes. So I had a 1-year deal with them. It was awesome. They are the best sponsor ever. Smart Parts takes care of you so well. The Gardners are great guys. Daryl Trent took very good care of me. So when I left Excessive, I was just going to go right to the All A's because they wanted me to play and they wanted me to like be me and Dearman be running up the center. You know what I mean? Like that was like the thing they wanted. And I was all for it. And then Jerry blocked me. He's like, you can't come back into the NXL because you played for me and I didn't release you. You're just playing in another league. So he blocked it and wouldn't let me.
Oh,
Oh, dang.
Yeah, that kind
Jerry owned the NXL, right?
he was part owner. They were all part owners. You know. So yeah, that kind of blocked me from playing with them, and that screwed up a lot of stuff at the time.
Because they don't like each other, or they're like, you know what I mean? That was like in a story. Not, I wouldn't say that exactly, but that's like I don't know, a rivalry. You know what I mean?
They were a rivalry, but like I don't think it was just Jerry didn't want me to play. Like he didn't want me to play for them. You know, he didn't want
right.
me. Jerry said one of the nicest things, I may not agree with Jerry on a lot of stuff, but Jerry was always very good to me as well. A lot of people like talk shit, like, you know, Jerry is Jerry, but he was very good to me. There were times I needed like legal advice about certain things. Weird, right? And I could call Jerry. But at one point, like when I played with NYX the first year, like I was playing hot. I was running up and down the field shooting people, like, and Jerry was like, he called me one day, and I know this is like a big thing. I'm tooting my own horn here, but this Jerry Bruin, he's like, you're like my Oliver Lang, and I was like, oh yeah. I was like, pretty cool. I was like, all right,
I'll take it.
I was like, all right. I feel like I'm pretty good at this, maybe, you know. I'm no Oliver Lang, but I get it. Jerry said, and I was like, that was like a compliment. That, you know what I mean? Like Jerry would bust your balls. He wouldn't always be throwing compliments out.
Right.
You know, that was like one of the nicest things somebody ever said to me in paintball.
Mm-hmm.
No, Jerry was very good to his team, man. He wanted to win, you know, from everything that I've heard from everybody. You know what I mean? He put the resources in.
He's a businessman, though, in the end, and he had to do doing it as a business, you know. And that's the thing. Like I learned being older, I took a lot of things personal. And a lot of times it's business or politics, and you can't be personal about it. Now, looking back, I see it. And I'm like, oh, yeah, you know what? I handled that wrong because I was immature and I didn't know what was going on, you know. But now I kind of get it. Now nothing surprises me, you know.
Yeah. It was back like more like a real sport back then, you know. It's just business, baby.
It was
Players, teams,
I mean, you know, they did what they had to do. You know, I think they totally missed. They cannibalized themselves and shot themselves in the foot with the TV thing, trying to ask for too much money. But it is what it is. I mean, that's the one thing about the sport and the leagues and stuff. They always seem to eat themselves. It never gets to the next level because they I don't know.
Yeah, no.
I don't know.
You're certainly right. It's certainly fallen to hit that next level, no matter what everyone says.
We'll see.
I'm sure you got some opinions on some things that you've seen in the past. You've been around it through all the I don't know, the big money things and all that. You know what I mean? I think even like Excessive was like that Amway energy drink they were sponsored by, right?
They were throwing money around at people. Like I was sponsored, but I had money coming in from like Virtue. I had money coming in from Contract Killer, like Chris Corsino. Another good guy in the industry, always did right by me. Like, still has my back, So I was making a little bit of money. I mean, Oliver was like, had like a 6-figure deal going on.
Right.
Some guys, there was some guys that on our team that they were paying certain guys were supposed to get like $50,000 to play. Like I think JR had like, they were paying guys, especially the second year around when I was on the second team, the guys were making some money. They were definitely getting some money out of it. And I don't really know how it ended up all falling apart, though. I don't know the whole deal because I kind of was in and out of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I wasn't an owner anymore, so it didn't concern me.
So originally you were an owner of Excel, that's how it was started.
I was one of the original guys, so I was part owner. I had points in the team, and at the end, whatever money was left, we get delivered. Everybody got points, and the longer you were on the team, it was like a pyramid scheme almost. Like the way because that's what that whole quick start thing is anyway.
All right.
So these guys, the owners were like big guys in Quick Star, and they were using the team to sell the energy drink, and but yeah, when I left. When I came back, I was like, "Oh, so I get my stuff back?" They're like, "Nope." All right.
Nope.
Yeah.
How many points am I at now? 0.
I was at 0. I think I was at 0 from the beginning, but yeah.
So what's the plans now with Adrenaline? I know you guys you won the first ICPL, kind of, been doing okay since then. Are you trying to go to Chicago with everything that's going on? You know what I mean?
If we could get out of New York, I mean, this
Yeah.
is like the friggin' armpit of the earth right now. I mean, we can't get you.
Yep.
We can't come back for 2 weeks. Like I can't. I lost, from not being able to work and see patients. I lost a lot of money in the beginning. We had to close the office and stuff. So, I can't. I could go away for a weekend, but I can't go away for a weekend and then not be able to come back to work.
Right.
I'm hoping they lift that travel ban and stuff. I mean, if it goes on, if the event is held, I mean, who even knows still, I mean, I'm assuming everybody's planning that it is going to be, but who knows? I don't know, man. It's crazy times we're living in right now.
Yeah, no, because we're thinking the same thing. Like Steve on our team took second place in the amateur in the first one, so we have a good shot at the series title, but we don't know how we're going to get there because nobody could afford to take off for 2 weeks when we come back. I know I can't.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard, man. Paintball is great, but you got to have responsibilities, pay the bills. You know what I mean? I hope it happens. I can't wait to see my guys. Like I miss everybody. Like all those guys. They're great. Adrenaline has been nothing but one of the best experiences I've ever had in paintball is playing with these guys. Like I screwed up the first event, that Chicago event that we won.
Mm-hmm.
I screwed up, and on any other team, I would have been balled out, whatever. So, but it wasn't my fault. We go up, and friggin' Al from the Jesters and Sweet Cheeks.
Yeah.
Their daughter's the ref on the field, and she tells me and Nicky, "Oh, you guys have like 8 games before you go." So I'm like, "Oh, so you're telling me we got like an hour and a half before we're playing, whatever?" She's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "All right." So Nicky goes back. I go to the bathroom, and then on the way back, I stop. I'm talking to Will and all them. And then all of a sudden, I walk back, and all the stuff is gone from the staging area. Everybody. I'm looking for my stuff. I can't find my stuff. I'm like, holy shit. So I start running up to the field, and I run up there, and I can't get on because I have no goggles because the geniuses took all my stuff, but they took my goggles too. So even if I could get it, I couldn't get onto the field. And they play the game. They're walking off. We ended up losing. And I'm like, holy shit, how do I not win the game? And they're making fun of me. Like, you'd think they would be really mad because, they're paying for me to go to this and everything like that. I felt terrible. Like, I'm beating myself up. And mentally, I'm like, fuck. But it was good because it lit a fire under my ass. And I started really, chopping people up on the field. The next game, I had a game. But James just made fun of me. And he had his kid was making fun of me, and they were all joking around. Like, well, what are you gonna do? Why don't you go take a shit or something? You know what I mean? Like, oh, Nick, you gotta go to the bathroom again? We got a game in 5 minutes. And any other team, if that happened to me with Telford, man, he would have been whooping my ass. Like he would have been shooting me with a gun in the state. He would have beat the hell out of me or done something like that. And they were just like, hey, man, it happens. Let's pick it up and let's go. And that to me meant a lot because again, they were like, all right, we get it. Shit happens. Not the end of the world. Let's just now pick it up.
Right.
And I had to pick it up because I had no choice. The next game, I think I had to shoot 2 or 3 guys because I was running down the field. I was like, oh, I'm not going to take a shit again. No. Oh, I'm so sorry, James. So they're good guys. I really enjoy them. I love Unger. He's like my little brother on the team.
We had him on, I think, 10 episodes.
Yeah, I saw some of it. I love that kid. He was
awesome.
He's got a great future ahead of him. He's got a good attitude.
He
has the attitude that I had at his age. Me, I had a chip on my shoulder. He's just a sponge. He wants to learn, and he just wants to get better, and he puts the work in. That kid's he's gonna be something. I mean, he already is something, but he's gonna be something really big.
Yeah, no, he definitely puts in the work. I even anything he puts out, I try and absorb too, because I do little workouts every morning too. So anything he puts out, I'm trying to soak it in.
Yeah, he dedicates time. He's awesome. I mean, we got a great bunch of guys. I mean, Dearman, he's crazy too. You know what I mean? He's running around the field. Nicky, the problem is trying to get us all. We haven't all played an event. Right. Some people have been gone for each one. Nicky's always working on the rig, so it's hard. Not having him on the field is huge. You know what I mean? Because he's like the general.
Yeah, I've played with him in the woods. He's a general.
When I hear his voice behind me, I'm like, oh, okay, we're good. Whatever we got to do, you know what I mean? I'll talk to him, and he knows we've been playing together for so long. Like he'll know, and he'll just look at me and be like, go, go, and you know what I mean. Like we just put stuff together on the field. He's you know he's one of the best players to ever play the game. I don't care what anybody says. Nicky, he's a winner. He'll make it happen. You know, when you're down on it, if you had to tell me to pick some players, like when you're down, Nicky's one of the ones I want on that field every time. Every time. He's amazing.
Yeah, no, I have a kind of funny Nicky story. So like when I first started playing, like I didn't know anything about the pros. Like I got started with scenarios, and this is maybe my like second scenario game, and it's like the West Point game, and Nicky's the general. And it's the end of the day, and we're crawling on this hill and we're shooting guys up, and he gets clapped in the goggles, and the ref goes, "Hey man, I think you just got shot in the face." And he looks at the ref, he goes, "Bro, do you know who the fuck I am? I'm Nicky Cuba." Just wipes it and then keeps going. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah.
I get him type his name into the Google machine, and I'm like, oh dang. I could have touched that guy if I wanted to. Fuck.
That's who I was playing with?
Yeah, I was like, shit.
Nicky is the man, and he's got worse luck than I do. So it's bad shit happens to me, bad shit happens to Nicky. Like when we first moved to San Diego, like he moved there probably a month before me, and like he wasn't off the plane for like 4 hours, and he got arrested trying to help some kids buy beer at the liquor store like around the corner from the house. Like, he literally got off the plane, went home, and was like, all right, I'm gonna go grab some beers or something like that, and literally got bagged. But he got a sting operation. Like he was in town for 4 hours. You know, it's like,
that's too funny.
I love that kid, but he's got shit luck like me. Yeah.
Yeah, so man, like what is the future for Adrenaline? Like, you guys just keep planning to do the ICPLs and stuff like that?
Yeah, they're playing events still in the Midwest. Like they played something a couple of weeks ago. Like Unger flew out, and I think Gierman flew out. So they're still doing stuff.
Oh yeah, MSXL. Yeah.
They're trying to play those. They played some 10-man or mechanical thing like a couple of weeks ago. They're active. I mean, we still want to play. I mean, we'll be at the events if the events are there, you know?
Yeah, no, right? It's just everything's kind of wild with this time.
They designed a whole gun, by the way. You guys seen this thing?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, exactly.
Is this one yours? Is this your edition?
This is my edition. Let's see if I can get the light right. The new one, version 2.0, is like toxic orange, where this is like this is orange, but it's a little more subtle. The new one is like this Nerf gun orange in the back. It's sweet. It is sick. I mean, you don't make a gun like this and don't play. I mean, James.
Yeah, right.
Like James is gonna. I mean, these things are amazing. I mean, you guys played with them, or you played with them, right?
Yeah, I've shot one. You know what I mean? Tim has a couple of them. I've shot. You know what I mean? You go to Tim Doyle's house, you grab one off the wall. You can use it for the weekend.
Tim's got a little bit of everything, but these things are awesome. I mean, I sold my other one. Actually, Will Royal auctioned it off for me, and I was having problems getting rid of that gun because it was such a good gun for me. It worked and I've never kept anything.
Giving it to Will was a smart idea because that thing is gone.
Yeah, it wasn't hard to get rid of, and Will's another one of those guys. He's just like cherish his friendship in the sport. Like there's certain people I've met in paintball that like thank God for them having them in my life, and Will's one of them. But yeah, I mean I wish I would have kept more stuff. So this is the number one. And I'm never selling that. That's taking.
Hell yeah.
That's like 20 years in the making. I finally got a signature series. But, you can buy it at Adrenaline.shop or something like that. You buy one of those. No, but that's like a culmination to the career, if anything. If I stop playing, at least I feel like I have something to remember it by, which I never kept jerseys. I never kept anything. I wish I did.
Yeah. No,
I'm
for sure.
Trying to get by.
Especially now when you see what some of them are going for.
Oh my God. I wish I still had my excessive bad jerseys. Oh my God.
So much money right there.
If you see it out there, you know what I mean? But now this is when they can get you with it. They'll be like, oh yeah, we know you want it. You know what I mean?
There is one other gun. There was excessive, like our second year, they gave us like to make our own colorways. And I had a neon green like Hulk. It was neon green with purple accents, XSL 66.
Well, I was going to say shotgun too, man.
When I shot on the ESPN thing,
Yeah.
they gave us boards, and I still got pulled for shooting 26 balls a second with this gun. And it was no board. It was no cheater board. It was the board they gave me. The gun was a machine gun. That was another one of those guns I wish I never got rid of.
It's probably somewhere on Steve Casano's wall somewhere.
I think I saw it online like back in the day. Like I think the kid like took the parts off, swapped it, did something. I was like, why would you do that?
Ruined
it. It was perfect, man. It was perfect. I made it. It was for me. I made it. It's perfect.
I had a SFL autococker. It was like a Gen 4. It was dust black, and I took a white, like it was like almost like a whiteout marker, and I whited out the SFL on it, like the little marker, and I sold it to some kid for like $700 because I wasn't allowed to shoot it anymore because GZ was shooting the
Timmies,
and the matrices and all that. So I got rid of it, and I found the gun, and the kid took it apart and shipped it out because he thought the white was anodizing, and he re-anoded the gun, and I was like, it's never going to be the same. I'm like, the gun will never be the same. That gun was built by Danny Love. It was perfection, and it will never be the same. I was like, I can't believe you did that. Don't do that. You
don't turn the knobs. Don't do nothing. Just leave it.
Put the air on, and if you have to change an O-ring or whatever, if anything, send it back to Danny and let him fix it because that gun worked amazing. It was that's another one I regret. That one hurt.
But now you should be good. You know, you're not as strapped financially. Hopefully, that you don't need to sell the guns to sleep on Maddie's floor anymore.
Yeah, those are some best. Listen, I might not have realized it back then, but those are some of the best times of my life. Like living on the floor, like scrounging to get by. Like a lot of those guys, like the Dynasty guys, they all like they had money. That so they didn't have to worry about stuff. God bless them. It's awesome. Like they were all, those kids were all great, but I don't know how many people get to say they lived on a floor in somebody's apartment. We had like 4 people living in a 2-bedroom apartment. Nicky would sleep on the couch. I would sleep on the floor. And Maddie and Hefe had their own rooms. It was like a dysfunctional Melrose place because my sister and her friend lived below us. These other girls lived across the hallway. And then, originally me and Nicky were living downstairs. But the girl we were living with turned out to be smoking crystal meth. And we were like, all right, we got to get out of there.
Time to leave.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was a crazy time, man. I mean, I got stories. Probably can't talk about it here. There's a lot of
I got. What about? Or I have one more that I remember. It was like this is when I probably seen you passing, but this is when we were going to Foxball. We were in Doyle's car. It was me and Travis, and I remember Travis was behind me, and he's like, yo, it's Nicky Vegas. I'm like, bro, I know who the fuck it is. Like, I've never been someone that's like starstruck like that. Like, you know what I mean? But like, I just remember you telling some story. It was like your first day in California, and like you and Oliver. It was like you and Oliver were in an alleyway, but he had to dip. You had to fight his fight for him or something.
Yeah. So this story actually kind of upsets me because I think Oliver and my friendship kind of took a different course after this. Like, it was New Year's Day. I just moved to California, flew in that morning. It was New Year's Eve, and one of the managers from Dynasty, my boy Jaden Darling, I was staying with him up north in San Francisco, and we were meeting Oliver and all these people. They had hotel rooms, and we were going out for New Year's. So we're going out, and we're in this bar. I think the name was like Kelly's or something in San Francisco, and we got split up. Oliver's doing his thing. Me and Jaden were hanging out. We had a bunch of people there. And I go upstairs. It had like a downstairs, but to get down the stairs, there was a narrow hallway that like 2 people shoulder to shoulder wide was as wide as the hallway was. And it was packed. And I'm going through, and it opened up a little bit, and I see Oliver, and something happened. Some guy took a swing at Oliver, and I'm like, all right. So I'm freaking coming. I'm fighting these guys in the hallway, and I get thrown outside. So Jaden and them come outside. Oliver's still nowhere to be found. I don't know where he is, but fight started with him, and everybody's like, all right, well, let's go find Oliver or whatever, and we'll go inside. I'm not allowed back inside because I was just fighting, so I'm stuck outside. It starts raining, and I'm outside, and unbeknownst to me, because I'm kind of lit at this point, I'm getting circled by all the people I was just fighting with. And next thing you know, it looks like a scene out of like Big Trouble in Little China. We're fighting, and I'm fighting people. I don't even know who I'm fighting because I have no idea what these people look like. I'm just getting people coming at me, throwing stuff at me. We're throwing people in garbage on the side of the street. It's nuts. All of a sudden, the fight gets broken up. Like my friends come outside, and then this one kid starts like mouthing off, and he's like, we had this big kid, Danny, that was with us. He like played football in college. And the kid wanted to fight me, and Danny was like, "No, you're gonna fight me." He says, "Well, I come like running past Danny, and I'm right the street. It's pouring, raining out, and all of a sudden, a freaking motorcycle cop comes and like runs over my foot, and the kid just disappears because nobody wanted to get arrested. And I had to walk back to the apartment. Long story short, I ended up like kicking open the door in the hotel, and I broke the door, and the hotel was under Oliver's name. So I was pissed off at Oliver because I was like, I was fighting for you, and you all left me. So I didn't pay him the money for the door, which I ended up doing. Like this was saying, I said something earlier about like a money thing.
Yeah.
6 years later, at an NXL event, when I was playing with the Jesters, I gave Oliver an envelope. And in it, I wrote, like, 2 wrongs don't make a right. I should have paid you for the door, whatever. So I gave him like $200 for the door. He had no idea what he was doing for. Yeah, he like said to Nicky, he goes, I don't know what this is for. And Nicky was like, I think it was because he owed you money from like a fight or something like that. But like that night was like, me and Oliver were tight before that night. And after that, like night, it put like stress on our friendship, and we were still friends, but it was like never the same,
Yeah.
So it was like it was like, a crazy story, fighting in the street of San Francisco and stuff. I had to go to the hospital the next day. I couldn't walk. My foot was all swollen and shit. I had like 2 weeks. It's crazy.
Day one. Day one of the California dream.
Another day. And there's plenty more where that came from. I mean, I'm not surprised. It's a lot of crazy.
Dude, we'll definitely have to get you back on, man. But definitely, we're going to see you soon at something, I'm sure. But definitely plug all Adrenaline sponsors, and we'll have to get you on again, hopefully after an event, hopefully after maybe an ICPL Pro win or something like that.
Oh, that'd be nice. I mean, listen.
Get another ring and the belt.
The ring and the belt's nice. So that was crazy. Did you hear the story with that? We found out me and Unger were on the way to the airport.
Yeah,
early, right?
We're like driving up and like getting up there to get on stage with the thing. It was awesome. It was a great way to win. To find out we won anyway. But yeah, dude, Adrenaline's great. The guys are great. I mean, we have great sponsors. I mean, the Grayleys, they're number one. I mean, they take care of everything for us. We had a camo company, Vail, that makes all of our prints and our jerseys. Under, they make all our clothing. Everything is spot on. I mean, we have push goggles and bags. Those goggles are insane. The lenses are all.
I love my push goggles, man.
The HD lens is just amazing. It's like cheating. It's so clear. But yeah, I mean, everything else, and Carbon also. Carbon makes awesome shit. There's slide pants. Like I've always been like a knee pad kind of guy. I didn't think those slide pants, like the tights, were gonna be good. I wear those tights. I don't feel anything. And knee pads slide around. Those tights. And the packs are great too, with a little inflatable bladder on them. The Carbon packs. It's money. We got great sponsors. They stand behind us. They're good guys.
Cool. All right. Awesome, man. So thanks everyone for joining the show. Thank Nicky again for joining us. We'll definitely have to have him back to tell more stories. I want to encourage everyone to subscribe, rate, and review to this show. We need to get them podcast reviews up, so keep those coming. And thanks again, guys, for joining us. And we'll see you guys soon.